It's a random live call-in show on a Saturday. Maybe we'll call it Sneaky Saturday. I know someone's going to have an axe to grind. I know that someone, his name starts with a T and it ends with a D. And he's not going to be happy about this. No, 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 he's not. But we'll get started right after this.
We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, who in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Woo.
Jets by $1 million today.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. It is Jets Chaos. And I am Jeremy. And I am going to bring the chaos. So, look, people are saying we're not good enough. They're saying we're not winning nothing. They're smack talking us. Well, I say, foo. Foo, foo. Did anybody think the Eagles were going to do anything last year? Did anybody think they were going to the Super Bowl? What were they saying about Kansas City last year? Let someone else be the favorite. What did it do for Buffalo? Not much. What is all the hype year after year for the Dallas Cowboys? What has it done for them as far as playoff wins? Not much. So let them have the hype. Let them be the favorites. Let us be the underdogs. What really matters is, do we got what it takes? Do the New York Jets have the roster to win the whole damn thing? I think we do. And we can break it down piece by piece, but what we're going to focus on today, thank you, Dano, is the wide receiver room. I want to talk about the wide receiver room, but I also want to mention, you might see scrolling across the bottom, it says call-in show. Call-in show. That means you can call in. Now, you don't have to put your camera on. I pinned the link to this. Pin the link. Not yet, Nick. Let other people have a chance. I pinned the link in the chat for people to call into the show. Now, you could just be audio only, or you could put the camera on. It's completely up to you. So if you want to, yeah, that was a whisper out, Dano. I like that. So if you hit the link, you can join in. I think my brother's out there. He's in Greece. If you're in a position you could talk and you want to hit the link in the chat, it would be really cool to have somebody calling in from Greece, from the island of Crete. That would be pretty awesome. So the link is pinned in the chat for anybody who wants to talk. Until then, I was asked to discuss the wide receiver room. You can, of course, participate in the chat. Let me say hello to everybody first. We got Dom C was the first one here. I don't know if he's still around, but he was first. And we got to get in touch. I want to find out if we're doing anything tomorrow. Dano is the one that put it in my head. He said, get on. We need to talk about the wide receivers. Nick is always here. Vervain found it early, got in here early. Sometimes it takes you longer to know that I'm on. That is my brother, guys. He's in Greece. I think that's pretty awesome. Super Leroy found me early today, huh? Usually you're a person who comes in a little later complaining that I didn't tell you I was going to be on. And I like the positivity. He says we have the roster. Some guy is here. What's going on? Garrett Wilson, first wide receiver with over 2,000 yards receiving. He wouldn't be the first, would he? Didn't Cooper Kupp do it? I thought Cooper Kupp broke 2,000. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought that he did. I thought that a couple of receivers had gone over 2,000 and that he had just broken the record. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just missed, what was it, 1,900 yards? So tag. Okay. Okay, I'll do that. Nikki, my nephew. What's going on, young man? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. It's good. It's Saturday, man. It's Saturday. I got my work done. I told Dano, I said, look, man, I can't go on until I get my work done. I'm taking a couple of graduate classes, and I have to get off to a good start, make a good impression. And I had some readings to do, and I had to do some posts and all that kind of stuff. So I did. My brother's trying to get on. He might not have the internet, or it might be because it's far away. Man, it's a bummer if it doesn't work, because that would be really awesome. By the way, my brother doesn't know that I'm taking 2 graduate classes. He has no idea because he's in Greece. And I didn't get to give him any updates on what's going on in my life. So it's going to be crazy when he gets back. That's going to be a hell of a conversation. Hell, no one except my wife really knows. So it's going to be a hell of a conversation. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so we do have Garrett Wilson. If you include playoffs through the 1900. Okay, so no one's hit 2000. All right. 1947 is the record in the regular season. Okay, I can't tell you on here what happened. I told you before you left. I need to talk to you, but I'll wait till after the trip. I told you that because I didn't want to put a damper on your trip in case, because at that point it was a bad thing, but now we got a plan, so everything's good. Anyway, let's move forward. Garrett Wilson. Now, here's the thing. People are complaining that we don't have a true number 2. I do want to say this. We have Green Bay's number 1 receiver from last year, right? Behind Garrett Wilson. We also have Corey Davis. And I know Corey Davis has been hurt and he's been injured, and we can't rely on him as much. But I think that there's different ways to skin a cat, as Robert Saleh once quoted from someone else who said it a lot years ago, way before he did. But multiple ways to skin a cat, meaning there are teams that have a premier WR1, a great WR2, very good, could be a WR1 on another team, perhaps. That's what we thought Corey Davis was. And then have crap. Some teams have that. They don't really have a good number 3 or an okay number 3, and they barely have a 4-5. Guys from practice, guys you never heard of, right? That's some teams. Some teams don't even have a clear number 1. They have 3 number 2 receivers. And then a couple of number 3s, pretty strong room, right? And then there are some like us. We have a very, very young, promising WR1 in Garrett Wilson. And we have 2 guys that could arguably be WR2s, but certainly are great WR3s. So we have 2 very capable receivers. If he's healthy, Corey Davis is capable. He's not super popular. That's why he's not a WR1. But let's not exaggerate and say that he's not good. Because, no, he's had his moments where he could be really good. And Lazard has his moments where he could be really good. They both have a problem with dropping passes, a little bit of a dropping pass problem. But we'll see what happens this year. Also, that doesn't mean they're bad receivers. You have to look at their overall production. And that might be just something, hey, it just is what it is. Then we have a nice blend in our WR4 in this kid Hardman. And I know his stats don't look great from Kansas City, but you got to look at just the change of pace, the attributes. He's a Berrios replacement. He's a gadget guy. He's going to be able to do dangerous things rushing the ball, potentially. He's going to be able to do sweeps, things like that. And he can also just totally snap, and crush the back of a defense. I mean, like, he could bust through. Right. And he's always got that threat. We have a guy who can get behind the defense, that deep bomb pass to that surprise play action where he's just posting and going full speed across and up towards the corner of the end zone. You got a guy who can get open that way. We got several guys who can do that play because it's not like Garrett Wilson can't post. Then you got at number 5, this is debatable. And this is what I mean by every room is built differently. Maybe maybe there are a lot of teams out there that clearly have a better 1-2 punch, right? But look at the depth of our team. At 5, fighting for spot number 5 is Denzel Mims and Cobb, Randall Cobb. So you got the young, incredibly talented athlete, right, who didn't pan out with the last coaching staff, the last coordinator. But we know there's a ton of potential. I mean, we know he's got crazy speed, crazy size. Okay? And then we got the experience and the knowledge and the leadership of Cobb. So there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of big-bodied guys now. So we're not just, if Corey Davis got hurt, we still have Lazard. Right? We have 2 guys that are clearly big-bodied receivers. You know, Mims is not small. I think he's 6'3", 6'4". So we're deep. We're deep. And then we got this kid Hardman, who's a burner, right? We also brought in, you know, some other guys, you know. I mean, we can't sit there and say that Hardman didn't produce because he didn't have a quarterback. I mean, he played in Kansas City. But we could say he was developing and he just wasn't used in that way, in that capacity, and that it's a different offense, different quarterback, different style. And you know what? He might only get 400 to 500 yards. But if those are strategic yards, those 400 to 500 yards, strategically placed in key moments, like some big touchdown, like 50-yard touchdown reception, or, you know, just some of those key passes, big plays, it's the same thing with Cobb. He might only get 400 yards. But what if those are 3rd and 8 type situations, most of that yardage, right? And then the big yardage guys are going to be like Garrett Wilson, who's going to have the big number. The possible anywhere from 1,300, 1,200 to 1,800 yards, right? Big yards from Garrett Wilson. Corey Davis and Lazard both can potentially get between that 700 and 1,100 yards number, right? Those will be the guys that put up the numbers for yards. But it doesn't take away from the role of the other players. And it doesn't mean our wide receiver room is weak. So we're going to find out. But we definitely have depth. You know, there's a chance that Cobb beats out Mims and Mims is the WR6. Right? And it might be a realization that Mims has no chance to succeed anywhere. Or it might be that he's never had the real opportunity or he's had bad luck. We don't know. We don't know. I'll say the one thing about him. He blocks. So even when he's not getting receptions, he might not be getting a lot of receptions, not a ton of production, but there's highlights of him blocking. A willing blocker, a willing team player making key blocks during plays. The other thing I want to point about Hardman is that we might get yardage from him, rushing yardage from him, not just receiving yards. So we might get some value there. The other thing, when you talk about receivers, you have to talk about tight ends. Well, we have tight ends. We have too many. We're overflowing with tight ends. We are. Now, granted, none of them are a Kelsey. None of them are a Kittle. They're not superstars, but they're all capable. And they're all going to look better, and they're all going to improve with Aaron Rodgers throwing them the ball. Right? Because they do have an excuse for last year. They had the 32nd best quarterback play in the league, basically the worst quarterback play in the league. Right? So you're not going to see big numbers. One guy, Matt, is so good, Garrett Wilson, that he overcame that handicap, which is why we could talk astronomically about his potential to get 1,700 yards and not be insane. Because he got 1,100 with the 32nd best quarterback, and now he's getting Aaron Rodgers. But I also see or foresee the tight ends getting a lot more action because sometimes they're the second or third progression. Our quarterbacks went from first progression, dump it off. Right? And that was our most successful one. Mike White, our most successful quarterback, was one look, dump it off. You could see it in the play. He would literally snap the ball, look, and then dump it off. Or he'd throw it to a receiver really fast. Can't complain. It was the best option we had. Because Zach looked like a statue. He was just like this. I don't know what he was doing. One time, we have it on all 22 against New England. He was sitting there looking like this. And Denzel Mims was in the middle of the field, wide open, with no one covering him. It was a touchdown. All he had to do was throw the ball. And he didn't. I'll never understand it. But the numbers are going to improve. The numbers are going to improve because they have a quarterback throwing the ball now. So we're going to find out how good our tight ends are. We know they can block. Our tight ends did very well blocking wise. Ruckert only had one game to prove it. I was mad at that they waited to the last game of the season because he was pancaking people. But all of our running backs can block, or at least our three with experience, right? And then we got this new kid. We got to see if he makes the team. We got to see if it's all hype, if it's all just a lot of hoopla, or if he's actually going to turn out to be this great, tight end. Because we've said this about players before. I just said it about Mims, right? Freakish athletes. Oh my God. People say he's the next Gronk. Come on. It's more than just being a great athlete. Football is more than that. There are plenty of great athletes that don't do well in football. Even though they have great athletic ability, they have to put it together, the mental part of the game. So we're going to see. There's a reason this kid was drafted in the 7th round. A lot, injury, things but it's not just injury. I mean, nobody was talking about him 2 years ago. So this guy Kuntz, we're going to find out about Kuntz. But it's exciting when you look at him, when you look at the tape, the tape, I'm so old-fashioned. But when you look at this behemoth, this 6'8" freaking long giant galloping and down the field, you see potential. Especially a guy that can play the Gesicki type role, the guy that can just slide out into the slot, shoot out for passes, and be an extra receiver. So overall, this all started with how do I feel about our receiving room? I don't know where to rank him in the league because I would have to look at every single team's thing, and there's other people who do that kind of thing. Dom C might take the time to do that. I don't know. People might take the time to look at every wide receiver room in the AFC and rank where we are. I'm sure there are analysts who do it because they get paid. They have statistical guys in the rooms to do it. My concern really is, how do I feel about the wide receiver room? And when I think about that, I have to consider the tight ends as part of that equation, as well as the receiving ability of our running backs. Do I feel that Aaron Rodgers has enough weapons? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we have options on who to line up. He could start with Lazard and Corey Davis, boom, boom. And we're running a 12 personnel. So we got 2 tight ends out there. Hopefully Breece Hall right from the start is healthy. If not, whoever it is, Michael Carter, Bam Knight. This is our kid Israel. Is he our new kid? But he has a guy behind him, right? We got the running back. We got 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. That's going to be very common. We go to a 3rd wide receiver. Maybe that means bringing in, let's see, we got Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis. Did I say Corey Davis and Lazard lined up? No, Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis lined up, or Lazard, or the 3 of them. Imagine Lazard, Davis, and Garrett Wilson lined up. And then on a certain play, one of them trots off, and on comes to the field Hardman, right? Explosive speed and all that stuff. And then sometimes on 3rd and 6, they go 4 wide receivers, and you see a guy named Cobb on the field, right? And suddenly he makes a clutch catch on 3rd and 8 because that's what he does. These are all possibilities. But the point is, are there weapons? Yeah, there are weapons. There's tight ends he can throw to. Our running backs are all capable receivers. We've seen it. We've seen specifically Breece Hall. We've seen him take screen passes or short passes and turn them into 50-yard touchdowns, 50-yard gains. We've seen Michael Carter as a receiving running back. They're athletes. They're good. They're capable. They're competent. And all of our tight ends are competent to be receiving tight ends. They're not known for it. They're more balanced. They're balanced because they're good blockers and receivers. But if that's the way we intend to use them, if that's the scheme, you can trust those guys. So so to me, that's the real question. Do we have the tools we need? And that's really the thing, that we're going to find out. This offense asks you to be a complete tight end. That's the problem with Kuntz is like we don't know if he got the blocking ability, and that's probably Yeboah's challenge, right? Yeboah got onto the team with special teams. He's a former wide receiver in college, converted to tight ends. The question is he a good enough blocker? And this scheme and this team definitely likes good blocking tight ends. But it doesn't mean there's not room for one receiving tight end. Because don't forget, this is not LaFleur anymore. This is this is a different offensive coordinator in Hackett. Maybe his belief system is, we want complete tight ends, but we're okay having one specialty tight end, one guy who specifically can come in, line them up in the slot, and go out for passes, or is good enough for once in a while as a decoy, that ends up chipping a blitzer, and chip blocking or an edge. So, I mean, because it's not like we're sitting here saying it's automatically defined that Kuntz can't end up being a reasonable blocker or good enough to be on the field. He's just probably never going to be known or never make a reputation as an amazing blocking tight end. That doesn't mean he's not going to be competent. I mean, he's a big, strong guy. He's a strong athlete. They're going to put pounds of muscle on him. He's going to get professional coaching. We'll see what happens. Anybody watch the Sauce documentary? Not yet. I didn't know there was one. How do I find it? That's Paulie. The potential of Kuntz is amazing. He might be a good FG blocker. You never know. I mean, that's the thing. Right now, we know that he is a fascinating prospect as a receiver, as a receiving tight end. The tallest fullback. I see Ruckert playing the role of fullback, although I have some friends who would be very upset if Bawden didn't make the team. But I don't think there's room. I mean, who are we going to cut? We're not going to go 4 running backs and a tight end. I mean, we're not going to go 5 running backs or 4 running backs and a fullback unless we only go with 3 tight ends, right? So I don't know. You like the wingspan? You want to talk about? I can't talk about these things. I talk about wingspan. I start thinking about chicken wings. You can't have that predicament. You can't have me thinking about chicken wings. All right? I'm not near any food right now. I don't want to talk about his wingspan. So you think Carter is falling? I don't know. Well, this is his make or break year. He showed some great potential as a rookie. It's not like he played that awful in every game last year. He didn't. He was the first half of the season. There was nothing wrong with him. It was when everybody got hurt and the team went to crap that he went to crap, and so did the other running backs on the roster. Like so did Bam Knight. They were all struggling. Once every offensive tackle we had was hurt, the first 5, and we were down to number 6, 7th, and 8th, or 6 and 7, or whatever it was. I mean, so one thing we know about him is he certainly doesn't create his own holes. He's not the kind of running back that is like Barry Sanders, who's going to overcome a bad offensive line. We know he's not that, but that doesn't mean he's not a decent football player with an average to good offensive line won't be successful. Because I could show you a lot of highlight film, a lot of plays where Michael Carter looked very good to me on the Jets. Some very good runs. Very quick, very explosive. So even last season against Buffalo, he had a big one. Real big one. So we don't know. One second. I can't be put in that predicament might be your greatest line. Oh, wait a second. We got a guest all the way from Crete, I think. What's up?
Yeah, baby. I can't stay long. I got no minutes. I'm using up all my bandwidth.
Oh, where are you? What are you still on Crete?
We're on Crete, and we are leaving in about 15 minutes for Santorini. In like 15 minutes, we're catching a boat.
And what time is it there?
I think 5:15 a.m., 5:30 a.m.
It's early in the morning there.
Yeah, super early.
Wow.
10 hours ahead of you.
Wow, that's crazy. So I see you got your coffee. Are you gonna have a chance to eat anything before you go?
I just had they call it a pretzel, but we would call it, I don't know what we would call it.
There's no name for it.
I'll show you what it looks like. It's hard, like a pretzel.
Oh,
It's covered in sesame seeds. It's like a breadstick. It's like a circular breadstick. It's
probably
delicious.
delicious. Dip that
It
thing
is.
in
It's
cream
really
cheese.
good.
I would dip that in cream cheese and go all day.
You want to say hi to your sister?
Sure.
Hello.
What's up, Kathy?
How you doing?
Go Jets!
Go Jets! I've been following all the Jets news, but it sounds like you've got some news too. I hope it's not that bad. I hope it's good.
It's okay. Like, we'll talk.
All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna head out very quick here.
Yeah.
But I've been following the Jets stuff and who they're signing, and the wide receiver room is certainly full, to say the least. I was all excited for Mims, and now I don't know. What do you think?
So, I don't. Well, he's gonna have to fight for a roster spot. But really, what I want to say to you is, you got to look and see if there's any Jet jerseys there in Greece. If you see anybody with a Jet jersey, go find out. And find out if they're a tourist or if there's any Jet fans living in Greece.
I haven't seen any Jet hats. I've been looking.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be saying go Jets, but I'm not wearing anything either. So I only took limited clothes. See, I've been wearing the same thing. I got two sweatshirts I've been switching off on.
Gotcha. Travel with a backpack.
Exactly. 2 backpacks.
Nice.
All right. Well, go Jets, baby.
All right.
Go
Take
Jets.
care. Later.
All right. Ciao.
That's my brother Lee in Greece. He'll be back soon enough. I believe around the 17th, 18th of May. And so Lee, if you're still watching, Twisted wants to know if you could bring back some hot sauce from Greece, some Greece hot sauce. But remember, guys, and if you ask Jets Mess this, he'll tell you this every time. The answer is always Lee Cravat. It's always the answer. But I am going to now give the sign. I forgot what his sign was. Like okay, or I don't know what was the line he said. Like okay, now check. Go for it. Anytime you want now. Raising my hand. It's one of those things. But that's a secret code to somebody who was in the chat before. So someone said that was my great. So what did Nick say was my greatest line? I gotta see this. Why was it my greatest line? And did I say it, or is it somebody else said it? I can't be put in that predicament. Might be your greatest line. When did I say it? In what context? Did that come out of me, guys, when I was talking? Did I say that? Did I say I can't be put in that predicament? Oh, was that when I was saying, like, I can't rate them in the entire AFC? Oh, it was about wings. I said I can't be put in that predicament where I have to talk about wings. That is funny. So the funniest things I do, I'm not even aware of. That's what's so funny. Like, I hope he kept it. I would love to have Nick come on. I'd love to have Nick Shine come on and play the voice message I left him. If that was possible right now, you guys would love it. I left him a voice message, and I wasn't trying to be funny, and he swears to me it's the funniest thing he ever heard. So I if we can get Nick Shine on, the link is pinned in the chat. We'll see if we can get that played, but you guys will love it. You guys will love it. It might be as funny as Y2K's New York Rangers rant. And I'm sure he put together a hell of a rant about the Knicks today. Justin Jets, what's going on? I think the Jets shock all of you when we cut Michael Carter to keep Knight from hitting the practice squad. I guess it's possible. It would be surprising, though, It would be surprising because I know Michael Carter struggled at times last year, but I'm telling you, he has good tape. He's done good things for us. He's got talent. I think we're being too hard on him. I don't think Michael Carter is a player you cut. At least, well, let's find out this guy's opinion. I mean, would you cut Michael Carter?
Yeah.
So you go, oh, what?
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
saying to cut him. Like, that's not the question, right? The question is, would I cut him? Well, yeah. Like, anybody who's not named Brees Hall is a cuttable player in that running back room.
Wow.
You know, every single one of them, because the only one, and I would even go as far to say Izzy, because like Izzy is a home run hit, but even then, Izzy has holes in his game, and if it comes down to it that Bam and Michael Carter provide the skill sets to fill in the holes that maybe we thought Izzy could do and he can't do. Yeah, even Izzy is a guy that you look at it as maybe being able to say, oh, look at this guy. He can get cut. But outside of Brees, everyone's on the chopping block. Michael Carter, Bam Knight. Look at Ty Johnson. Got hurt working out for the season. Boom, gone.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be a run-first team. And if you can't run the ball, you don't need to be on this team. And like, again,
so you're basically saying outside of Brees Hall, it is a competition, not only for where you are in the running back room, but if you're going to even be in the running back room.
Yeah. And the reality is, like, it's not like these guys are going to be out of a job. I think whichever one of the three, I think it is a 100% lock that Brees is going to be here, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it at 99% that Izzy is going to be here and that he's running back too. So now you look at the rest of the running back room and you go, you got one spot left. There's one job left. And if we carry 2, right? But you've got Michael Carter, Bam Knight, and a lot of people are sleeping on this kid. But the undrafted free agent that we signed from USC, I think his name is Charles Dye. I think his first name is Charles. Watch out, because he might be Bam. He might win a job. He might steal a job and get here. So if you're talking about 5, 6 guys competing for 3 jobs, somebody has to be put on the chopping block, you know? Yeah. And because you mentioned it earlier, I don't know if Bawden is getting cut. Like, I think he's on the 53. And if that's the case, where are we sacrificing? Like, you know what I mean? Something has to go.
Something has to go. It's got to come from the tight end room or the running back room.
Not necessarily, because again, you can go to the other side of the ball. You can say, okay, we can't carry 6 cornerbacks.
Oh, so Justin Hardy,
maybe a Bryce Hall or a Brandon Eccles kind of a thing. You know, like you look at it and you go, this is a real thing. Maybe you don't carry as many linebackers. Maybe we don't carry as many defensive linemen. There's the 53-man roster this year is going to be so incredibly interesting because there's so many arguments for so many players to be on this team. There's an argument for us to carry 11 offensive linemen. But if we carry 11 offensive linemen, who's going to suffer? There's an argument to carry 6 wide receivers. But if you carry 6 wide receivers, how are you also going to carry 4 tight ends? And how are you also going to carry 4 running backs? And if you want to keep Bawden, how are you going to do that? You need 3 quarterbacks on the roster. And then the defense, it's so many interesting questions. And the competition for the 53 this year is going to be insane.
And the crazy thing is very few of those spots, because we're becoming so much deeper, none of those spots are people who are going to survive practice squad. Like,
nope.
You can't stash Bam Knight on the practice squad. Too much production last year. Someone's going to take a stab at him, right?
Again, you can try. The reality is, and we had this conversation in our group chat when the rule got approved. If you're Joe Douglas and if you're Robert Saleh, I'm holding on to all of my players till the last day. I'm keeping 90 guys until the last day so that I have to cut, 40-ish or 30-ish guys or whatever the number is, so that I have to cut all of those guys in one go
hoping that they sneak through in the mass confusion that is everybody cutting everybody. And so it's one of those things where, of course, you want to do right by the players that came here. But when you unload 37 guys onto the free agent market, that's a lot of evaluations that be had. So maybe you can look at guys like, maybe because the value for running back is so low, maybe Bam sneaks through and gets to a practice squad. Maybe a guy like, I don't know, like our new corner that we drafted out of LSU, Jarek. I don't remember the first name. Converse. I don't remember the
Converse, yeah. I know. I can't.
Bernard Converse or something like that.
Bernard Converse, yeah.
Is it Bernard Converse? Oh yeah.
I think
Okay,
so.
like maybe he sneaks through. Maybe you can see if Zach Kuntz can sneak through, but like the likelihood is incredibly slim. That these guys are going to do it. I think we're going to run it back as the team that gets the most players claimed from the guys that we cut. Because outside of the Philadelphia Bulldogs, the New York Jets, in my opinion, are the most complete roster in the NFL in the sense of we've got depth, and I mean good, solid depth at every single position, especially after, the acquisition of everybody. It's crazy how deep we are at every position on the football field, and we still have money to like. I was trying to figure out where we were going to get the money for Quan. Like, we can get Quan now. Like, we figured something out. We figured out the cap situation. And even with all the rookie signings, we're going to have like $6 million in cap left. You can go get Quan. And if you get Quan, there's another player in a linebacker room. It's crazy.
It's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And we know from the injury history that depth is so important. I mean, it's like no team is going to escape it. Everyone's going to have injuries, and you have to be able to put good replacements in that step up, next man up. That's what it has to be, next man up. No way around it. Do you think that after Breece Hall, and I guess I'm referring specifically to Michael Carter, do you think there's any trade value whatsoever?
Not for a running back.
Not for a running
That's
back.
the problem.
Right.
The thing is that I think the reality has to set in with everybody that this is Michael Carter's last year as a New York Jet. And that's the thing. It's whether he's on the roster, whether he's not on the roster. Well, we took Bam last year. We took Izzy this year. We're probably going to take another running back next year. It's one of those things where I would not be surprised if the New York Jets, as long as Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are the GM and head coach of this football team, I would not be surprised if every single draft we walk away with a running back, an edge rusher, or a running back, a defensive lineman, and an offensive lineman. Every single draft. Like you can write those three positions in pen. We're going to walk away with one of those three positions. Or we're going to walk away with all three of those positions every single draft. Whether it's with picks, whether it's undrafted free agents, whether it's whatever. We're going to go get those guys because it came out of Joe Douglas's mouth and we saw it in practice last year. You're one injury away from a position of strength becoming a position of weakness. You're one injury away from a position of strength becoming a position of need. We saw that with the offensive tackle room. And it wasn't a position of need, and then Becton goes down, and then Fant's never healthy, and then Dwayne loses both of his arms, and then Elijah has to bump out, and he gets hurt, and then Max gets the medical issue, and now you're talking about Cedric Ogbehi and Mike Remmers as your offensive tackles, and no one should be in that position.
Yeah. They certainly addressed the offensive line this year. It feels like we're going to have a lot of guys outside the top 5 that could definitely be playing on other teams. For sure. Because I know that Max Mitchell on some teams would not be fighting for a starting spot. Like, I think there are teams that Max Mitchell would be just insert right tackle.
It depends. The biggest problem with Max Mitchell is still going to be his weight. I haven't been able to find any type of report or anything like that about what his playing weight is. We have to remember that Max Mitchell was not and should not, if you were someone not named Tigo who was insane last year, right?
Yeah.
Should not have started last year. He should have redshirted. He should have been the swing tackle. And in reality, he should have been our right tackle this year because that would have given him enough time to pack on, 10, 15 pounds to get to NFL playing size and weight, right? And they never asked him to put on that weight in the Sun Belt because he was by far and away the best offensive lineman in the Sun Belt playing at 300 pounds. Like no one could keep up with him. So they never asked him to do that. But if he really wants to be an NFL right tackle, which I think he absolutely can do, I think he's got all of the skills and the moves to do it. He's got to put on weight. And I think, and this is like a little bit sacrilegious of me to even think this, but if Max Mitchell, if the blood clots have prevented him from being able to put on the weight, if he's still hovering that 298, 302 pounds, which is what he was estimated at last year, there is a better chance that Carter Warren, the rookie out of Pitt that we took this year in the 4th round, there is a better shot that he starts this year at right tackle than Max because he's carrying that NFL. He's carrying an NFL weight. He's at 6'5", 325. And like Carter Warren's a stud. If he didn't get hurt this year, and that's the biggest question, if he didn't get hurt this year, he's a 2nd round pick.
That's what everyone's saying. 2nd round pick.
He was in that same tier for me as Matthew Bergeron, DeJuan Jones, and like those guys. That for me is right where he slotted in, was in that 2nd tier, right outside of the top 5. He was right there. And if he was healthy and he played all year, he's a 2nd round pick. And
so he probably would have been one of the people we were talking about in all the mock drafts and all the like he would have been one of the names we knew.
Yeah. Again, I made a video about him. Well, I made a video about late round tackles and he was in it. And I talked about this. I said, he went on really good advice because he could have declared for the draft, not this past year, he obviously did, but the year before, and he would have been an undrafted free agent. Went back to school and fixed all of his problems and his concerns, and then didn't get to show it off on tape for that long because he got hurt, because he got, I believe it was a knee injury. So, yeah, it's, I really like what we've done with this offensive line room because now we're incredibly deep.
Yeah.
Interior and in the tackle room, especially if the news about Mekhi Becton playing left tackle is true. If all of that stuff is true, then we've got a really interesting offensive.
And when you look at it like from a draft perspective of where we drafted them, if either Max Mitchell or Warren work out, if one of the two work out based on 4th round pick, 6th round pick, it's a home run. Or a 4th round pick.
They're both 4th rounders.
Yeah, it's both 4th round picks. It's a home run because it's like you take an offensive tackle in the 4th round one year and then the next year, 1 out of 2 of your 4th round picks hit and become better than average starters, especially filling a role like right tackle or something like that. That's tremendous.
The reality is I think that we have 3 offensive tackles in our room that can be on this team for the next 10 years and really in Mekhi Becton, Max Mitchell, and Carter Warren. And you put Mekhi on the left side, and then you have Max and Carter competing for the right side. And the fantastic part about both Max Mitchell and Carter Warren and Mekhi Becton now, is that they all have flexibility to play on the left or the right or to do anything. So we have a great problem, which is if things with Carter Warren pan out, we have 3 legitimately, in my opinion, starting offensive tackles, assuming Max puts on the weight.
Yep. So to answer John's question, what when you say we're picking up washed players, what role are we asking of those players? What role do you think Cobb has on the New York Jets? We don't even know if he's making the roster 100%. The worst case scenario is he helps a lot of the guys learn the system and helps them as a leader during the spring and the early summer, and he doesn't even make the roster. Best case, he's what, WR5, WR6? So, and he has familiarity and he's reliable and he knows the quarterback really well. It's very common when you have someone, especially at the position of quarterback and an offensive coordinator who was just there, for 2 out of the last 3 years, before last year, 2 years. It's very common to bring in role players. We're not bringing in players from Green Bay as WR1 starting tackle. We're bringing in depth. We're bringing in guys that they know and trust, that know the system. So in that sense, it's like washed up is just defined by what's their role. Because for the role of WR6 or possibly 5, is Cobb washed up?
And the other thing to add to that is like Randall Cobb as wide receiver 5 is still an upgrade to what we had, or wide receiver 6. Let's put him at wide receiver 6, right? Is Randall Cobb now better than Jeff Smith? Like, yeah.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Because
I'd go with the experience.
yeah, because like Randall Cobb in his last year that he had Nathaniel Hackett as his offensive coordinator had what, like 5 touchdowns as wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, 375 yards, averaging 2 targets a game. Like it's one of those things where it's not like we're going to throw the ball at him a ton. Last year, he got targeted outside of the New York Giants game, which is an outlier because he got targeted 13 times that game, which is just insane. But he went for 100 yards. Outside of the New York Giants game, he got targeted an average of like 2.3 times a game. You telling me like on a second down play action pass, you can't dump it off to Randall Cobb and he can't run up the field for 5 or 6 yards? Like, of course he can. Like, you and I could run that route. The reality is I think you said it perfectly. Like, we're not asking him to take wide receiver 1 reps. We're not asking him to get targeted 12 times a game. That's what Garrett Wilson here is here for. That's what Alan Lazard is here for. That's what that's why Corey Davis is going to stay on this team. Those are the guys that are going to get close to double-digit targets. And then your McCole Hardmans, your Denzel Mims, your Randall Cobbs, they're going to get the remaining, 3 or 4, 5 targets, and they got to split it amongst themselves. Because if you go 13 targets for Garrett Wilson, let's say 8 targets for Alan Lazard, and then 6 targets for Corey Davis, that's like 25 targets. And how many times are we going to ask Aaron Rodgers to throw it? To drop back and throw 30 at the max,
right?
So,
yeah, and it might vary depending on the game, the defense we're playing, the way, the effectiveness of our running game, and all those other things. That control the play calling in a game. I don't know how to answer this question, man.
New York.
I'd call. It would be an egg salad sandwich. You know why I'm saying an egg salad sandwich? Because a good fresh egg salad sandwich to me is one of the greatest things in the world. I love it. But and as great as an egg salad sandwich could be, it could be really bad too. And the Jets, as great as it could be to win when they win, and as great as the winning years when they win are, they have been really bad too. So that mayonnaise was not good. That was used in a lot of different years. So I'm going to say an egg salad sandwich, and I'll call it the Klecko.
That's so good.
No, I'll call it the Ty Johnson, because he's an example of a guy who could be really good or really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I have no idea. I would do like just a sandwich that has way too many meats on it. Just like an unhealthy amount of and variety of meat. And that's just based on the joke, or not the joke, but like I keep making those statements of like when we're talking about our defensive linemen or our offensive linemen, it's just like walls of man meat. And so, yeah, probably something that would be along those lines.
Yeah. So these are things to be excited about. I mean, to me, before I get overly excited about Breece Hall, he has to be healthy. Like we just,
Yep.
I mean, that has to be defined. Like, is he
He already won.
Yeah. But when we have the full Brees Hall, it is fun to imagine with the blocking of our wide receivers and Becton and Tippmann, and don't forget our tight ends. Our tight ends are very good blockers. It's exciting to think about. It's exciting to think about because Brees Hall was doing it with the banged up offensive line. What if our offensive line is healthy? Like, what's the potential? I mean, Brees Hall might be, it might get crazy because he was averaging over 5 yards a carry. And, Becton went down right away. Dwayne was playing injured the whole time. I mean, there was tons of shifting and changing on the offensive line. Even before he got hurt, he was dealing with that and still having so much success. Now, if our offensive line comes in and we take the best 5 and they stay healthy and they start the season and they perform well, if Brees is healthy, it's
lights out.
It's lights out. It's like it could go beyond our imagination. And I forgot one key point. Instead of Zach Wilson or Mike White or Flacco at quarterback, you have Rodgers at quarterback, which means you can't stack the box.
Nope. I mentioned this yesterday on my live stream, which was for the first time in a long time, it feels like there absolutely is such thing as too many meats. Nick, you're crazy. But I said this yesterday, and I was talking about how this might be, well, at least in my lifetime, the first time where we have a complete team on both sides of the football. Is even in the AFC Championship years with Rex, I didn't feel like that offense was all that hot. I didn't believe in Mark all that much. And like, this is the first time where it's just like, hey, you're going to have to respect Brees Hall because he's Brees Hall, right? But then you also have to respect Garrett Wilson because, well, he's Garrett Wilson. And you know what? It literally doesn't matter who wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, tight end 1, tight end 2, or any of the other pass catchers are on the field because 8's throwing the ball. So now you have to worry about, as a defense, how do you game plan for 6 guys every single snap? It's impossible because every single snap, Brees Hall can take it to the house, Garrett Wilson can take it to the house, or Aaron Rodgers can throw it to a guy and then have them take it to the house. Based purely like Aaron Rodgers, Dano says it perfectly. The Aaron Rodgers play action is going. I'm gonna love it every time I see it. Play action. Every time we fake it to Brees, I'm gonna be like, it's a touchdown right now. Hit 17. Just hit him. It's because he's gone. He's open. I know he is. He doesn't look open, but he's open. And Aaron Rodgers is gonna put it right here, right there. Boom. He's open. Just throw it to him. This year is going to be fun because for the first time, it's just, we have a quarterback that can make every throw, and we've got guys who can get open, and we've got home run hitters. Let's see if this offensive line can hold up. Like, that's the biggest question mark, is this offensive line.
Yeah, it really is. And, my brother's a big component of that. He screams it all the time, constantly. Offensive line, and all the years we've been watching football. I hate it when someone will take one outlier. Like, they'll say, well, the Cincinnati Bengals. I hate that more than anything because it's like, since when does one outlier beat or top years of data? Like, if you're a football fan and you've been watching for years and years and watching who wins, you know that offensive line is important. Like, you just know it. It's like common knowledge. It's like, look at the Eagles making the Super Bowl. Just boom, just like that last year in the Super Bowl. Look at, Kansas City over the years. Andy Reid led teams. Look at, it goes back. The Jets' best years, right? Even if you're just focused on the Jets and you're a Jets fan, when did we have our best years? Like, look at our offensive line in the years that we were successful. From Parcells Jets to Rex Ryan's Jets. We had strong offensive lines.
And defensive lines.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have it. It's like if you don't have it, then you're going to need an extra exceptional quarterback, an exceptional running back, and they're never going to do as well as they could have. They might still do well, but never as good as. And I think the Cincinnati Bengals were an example of that. And they're going to be really tough when they finally pull it together and get the chemistry. If they put a great offensive line in front of Burrows, watch out. It's going to get nasty.
And the craziest part is like, what has Cleveland won? A couple of playoff games? Yeah, they made it to a Super Bowl and lost. Like, I'm sorry, Cincinnati, not Cleveland. What has Cincinnati won?
Right.
To justify them being, that's great, and they keep doing these things, but like, they beat Baltimore and Buffalo. And then when it came to facing an actual football team in the playoffs, like the Kansas City Mahomes, they lost.
Yeah.
And it comes down to why did Kansas City win the Super Bowl this year? What was the talking point after the Super Bowl that every single debater, person, anyone with eyes could see? Why did the Philadelphia Bulldogs, why were they unable to beat the Kansas City Mahomes?
Because they were unable to pressure the quarterback.
Exactly. Patrick Mahomes was able to sit in the pocket and dance around for however long he wanted because Philadelphia's pass rush evaporated. It was non-existent. And Kansas City was able to pressure and get to Jalen Hurts. And that's it. The offensive line won them the day. And that's it. Why were the Philadelphia Bulldogs so good last year? It's not because Jalen Hurts is this world-beating quarterback. No, it's not because they had the best running backs in the NFL. It's not because A.J. Brown is the best wide receiver in football or they had the best wide receiver core in football. None of those things are true. You know why they won so many games? It's because they had undoubtedly the best offensive line in football until the Super Bowl. They're the best offensive line in football.
Yep.
Easily.
Yep. They could give the ball to anybody. Every running back they gave the ball to succeeded. It didn't matter.
You and I could be running backs for the Philadelphia Bulldogs. That's how good their offensive line was. I'm good. Dude, with that offensive line, I'm good for 3 yards a carry. And 3 yards a carry keeps us ahead of the chains. That's it. 3 yards a carry keeps you ahead of the chains. I'll never fall forward. I'll get 3 yards and then get smacked by a linebacker. But I can get 3 yards with that offensive line.
Well, I don't know if you might be removed from the game after the first hit.
Well, absolutely, right? But
assuming you didn't get injured, 3 yards.
Yes, assuming perfect health behind the Philadelphia Bulldogs offensive line, I could get 3 yards a carry.
Right,
I guarantee it.
And if you're anyone, so forget us. If you're an athlete who's actually played college football, it's 4 yards.
5.
It's 4 yards.
5 yards a carry. You're just
Yeah.
Like,
No, it makes total sense. Well, thanks for coming on, Tigo. We have our next call-in. Thanks for being a call-in. And that was great talking to you. Great points. Everybody loved what you said. That was Tigo. We got our next call-in. It's another familiar face that you know. I guess all the people that don't normally come onto my channel, a lot of you guys out there are shy. So too bad there was one dude who was specifically asking for it, and he's not here. And New York Super Jets fan 4 is not here, and he's a guy who likes to come on. But this dude is almost always a guarantee to want to come on. You know him, Big Nick Shine.
What's up, pal? How are you?
What's up? So I don't know if you heard me before. I was hoping that you could play that voicemail I left you. That cracked you up, that made you laugh.
Did you get mine? I left you?
Yes. I was very funny.
That's the thing now. We don't answer each other's calls now. We just, you got to give someone 2 minutes.
I was like, this guy again. Guys, anybody listening right now, I know this might not be Jets related, but I like to make people laugh also. If you want to be entertained, you have to understand that I did not leave this message trying to be funny. This was a spur of the moment. I was bored, and I left my friend a message. So I promise you that this was not planned. This was not scripted. This was not me trying to be humorous. This was a message that when you're my friend in this world, you might get from me if I have your phone number. Go ahead. You can find it.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I'm playing the right one. I got 2 there from you.
Okay.
All right. I hope this comes out okay.
The one message that I want to leave you is just this. When I tell you there's such thing in New Jersey is called bar pie, and it's a different style of pizza that's extremely thin crust that you get in a lot of bars. It's very crispy, crunchy, and they're the kind of pizza where like one person can easily take down a whole pie because they're so thin. I can't help but think, does Nick know about these pizzas? They're not the standard football pizzas, like the 8 slices that you fold and you eat a slice during a football game. They're like a bar pie. It's a different style. New Jersey also has something called a tomato pie, where a lot of the sauce is on top. I wonder if you're curious. I'm curious if you're aware of these different styles of pizza that are available in New Jersey.
That's it. That's the voicemail. No, hey pal, how are you? Don't call me back. Just it's so good. Like the first time I'm listening to it, it was one of those like you keep like it's all pizza talk. It's so good.
I'm sitting there and I'm like wondering because I'm like wondering because I'm seeing this video of the different styles of pizza in New Jersey. I go, is Nick aware of this? Does he like have moods? Does he like sometimes say I'm going to get a tomato pie or I'm going to get a bar pie or like I just want a standard football pizza? Like I actually was wondering that, and you never answered the question. Are you familiar with the different styles of pizza in New Jersey?
I am. I call that gourmet pizza, where like it's good, but it's not filling, right? Like you said, the bar pies are the thin, crispy. I'm not a fan of that. Like there's a place in Rahway called Nancy's Townhouse that's famous for it. And I was driving with Uber like 2 years ago, and you know the Barstool app for One Bite says, "Oh, you're near Nancy's." Dave rated it an 8.8 or a 9.2 or whatever it was. I felt like I was a kid and I was sick, and you know, like you would get a package of like saltine crackers and then eat them like with like soup or something, but there was crumbs everywhere, and I don't know. I didn't like it. I housed the whole pie. There wasn't enough sauce for cheese, so enough sauce or cheese. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a huge fan. The place that was right next to me in Woodbridge, I lived in Avenel, Jersey Pizza Boys.
Mm-hmm.
They make that too. They make a thin one. Now it tastes much better. It's not as flaky as Nancy's, but they make a banging Detroit pie, an absolutely amazing Detroit style. So that's like my go-to right there. What's up, everyone? Hi guys in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's it.
If you take the comment away, did you see underneath my name the tag?
What does it say?
Jeremy Superfan. Nick, New York Jets fan. Jeremy Superfan.
I just went to the eye doctor yesterday, literally, and I hadn't been there for a year and a half, and at my age, that's not a good thing. It was like a year and 9-10 months, and my prescription changed dramatically. So that's why I've been complaining to everybody, like trying to read chats, like I can't see. Both my prescriptions, nearsighted, farsighted, both went up tremendously. So I'm about a week away from getting my new glasses.
Okay.
And then I'll be able to see that kind of text. But yeah, I've been struggling. I'm okay driving, like with like big things. I could drive and everything, and it's fine. But with like text and things, it's making out letters. My God, man! Luckily, I went to the doctor yesterday, so new glasses.
Yeah, make sure you get everything right, because you definitely want to be able to see this season. This season's going to be fun.
I know. It's crazy. I mean, absolutely. And Chris Bradigan is here. Hope he's doing well, feeling better. I didn't say hello to Nolte before. Salty Nolte is here. Twisted's here. Twisted, I told everyone you were going to be mad at me because I didn't give you any warning about the show. New York Jets Fan 4, it's a call-in show. I pinned the link on top of the chat. So if you want to call in at any time, you're welcome to call in, be on the show. So, Nick, what do you think about the things we were talking about? I mean, how you feel about the depth of the Jets, and was there anything that sparked anything in your head that you wanted to talk about and jump in?
Just we're gonna have a complete team. We're gonna have. You hope we don't have to test the theory out, but we're gonna have depth. We're gonna have the ability to plug guys in if guys get dinged up. It's football, right? As much as we don't want anything to happen, the reality of a football season is guys are going to miss games, right? You hope the line stays healthy, because the line being consistent together, I mean, we can't. It's mathematically impossible for us to go to another year with all of those injuries that we had on the line. So, the line being healthy is the most important part for me. That's going to set the whole tone on offense. We do have a quarterback who can work with not the greatest of lines and get the ball out on time and do the checks, like I've said before. Were you guys talking about pizza before? Was that? No, that was just him calling me. I was in the shower. I missed a call and I come out, and that was the voicemail that I had left for me. There was no conversation.
Unsolicited.
Random. It's always on his mind, right? I'm always making that's what she said jokes, and he's always thinking about different styles of pizza. It's just
I was on YouTube and I watched a guy try a bar pie, and I said, "My God, New Jersey, man, with their different kinds of pizza." And I picked up the phone and called Nick to talk about it.
Yeah, that was good. What were we doing the other day on the phone? Oh, hello, and thank you for calling Movie Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, press 1. For a list of theaters in your area, press 2.
You have selected The Matrix.
Viewing time,
movie
1:30 p.m. 4:15 p.m. This is for people who, before Tigo's a youngin', we got to explain Movie Phone. Before Fandango and the internet, you used to call like a phone number in your area, and there was not like a voicemail system you would go through to get the list of theaters and movies playing.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of the Jets, it's the defensive line, man, is going to be a force. It's better. Adding Woods replaces Fatu Kasi, right? We didn't have a Fatu Kasi last year. We didn't have that guy who can eat up the run. We tried with players, but the Seattle game is one that stands out, right? I think you mentioned that the other day on Wednesday. I think you mentioned it, that play, that opening run with Pete Walker or Kenneth Walker doesn't happen if he's there on the back end for it. It's going to be exciting, man. We're getting all the pieces that we need, and you're seeing some of the contracts 4 years ago, 3 years ago, before the Joe Douglas, we'd have to overpay people to get them to even entertain coming to the Jets. We had to give Mosley a ridiculous contract to get him here. We had to pay Bell a ridiculous amount of money after a year off. And now you're seeing players wanting to come here because they think they have a chance to win a ring. That's awesome. We haven't had that, since Jason Taylor and other players joined in the 09 and 10 run that we had. Nick, was the move. Sure, feel better on your luscious feet. I'm diabetic, man. I can't feel my feet anymore. I gotta rub my my tushkus on it. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, right? Let's get through training camp healthy. Let's get to training camp healthy. We got good veterans at every position, right? DJ Reed hasn't been in the league a long time, but he is an elite leader. Sauce is already an elite leader. Mosley, Quinnen, Solomon Thomas. You got guys, like, you can go every position and name guys. It's high character. It's captains in college and in professional level. There's guys who were not going to let anyone bring this team down. Negativity, poor effort. It's a team that the water level's rising, and you're either going to come up with all of us, or we're going to let you drown, and we're going to move forward without you. So it's pretty exciting to, I've been saying for the last week or two, you've been on a couple shows with me, and normally, I can't wait for opening day. I can't wait for opening day. I can. I want to enjoy every single press conference, every rep. I want to enjoy the process, because we don't have a 24-year-old Aaron Rodgers, right? We're not going to have him 15 years. I want to enjoy every step of the way. I want to enjoy the bumps. I'm going to enjoy the growth. I'm going to enjoy the evolution. I'm going to enjoy the losses, because I'm going to look forward to seeing how we bounce back from that. I mean, there might not be any. We could be looking at 20-0 with the way we're structured. Let's be realistic about it. But I'm going to enjoy everything. I'm going to enjoy watching the adjustments that they make. I'm going to enjoy how we attack certain teams offensively, defensively. I'm going to go nuts when we play the Chiefs and beat them twice in our stadium, because we're going to be the 1 seed. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to absolutely enjoy it.
It's going to be great. Enjoy every moment. Hey, I got a friend in my neighborhood in trouble. I got to go help my friends when they're in trouble. So
no, really?
No. It's. I just got to drive somewhere and get into somebody's house, because something's going on. So, so I got to end the show, guys. Everybody showed up. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on, Nick. Everybody, take care.
No worries,
I'll be back on tomorrow night for tomorrow night show.
Yeah. I hope everything's good, and that's what makes you, man. You'll drop everything to go help someone that you care about. So God bless you.
Yeah. It's not an emergency. No one's in health danger or anything like that. It's more about they're not able.
The Warriors are losing, and they got a little too tipsy.
It's nothing to panic over, but it's enough that they need someone to get over there. Okay, gotcha. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Take care, everybody.
Call me. I won't answer. Leave a voicemail.
Oh yeah! Go! Amazing! That's my boy! That's my boy! He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch! How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown!
This is a touchdown all the way!
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati.